Welcome back to another episode of North of the Lake Weekly Sports Talk Live. We on episode 17, man. Once again, I appreciate all the continued support, man. Y'all keep me going each and every week, man. We got a lot of things to talk about this week, man. Like I said, it's a lot of things we got to talk about this week, man. We got NFL playoff football going on right now. The Chiefs and the Bills are playing currently right now. I was kind of in and out of that game, you know what I'm saying? But, that's a pretty good game going on. We got two of the best quarterbacks in football battling as we speak right now in Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. So we're going to see what's the outcome of that game. Y'all, please keep me posted in the comments on that game right now, man. But once again, I thank y'all for tuning in to another episode. This is episode 17, man. So I do appreciate y'all tuning in once again, another week. We gonna keep going. We gonna keep giving y'all this content, man. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe on YouTube. That's NOTL Mon on YouTube. Wherever you are watching the video right now, please share the video for me so we can get more people in on the live, more people in the comments. Make sure y'all comment this week and let me know if my audio is okay. I'm trying out a new mic tonight, so please let me know if my audio is okay. Please let me know in the comments if my audio is okay, man. Please let your boy know if you can hear me well. Right now we are streaming on Facebook, we are streaming on YouTube, we are streaming on X, formerly known as Twitter. And shout out to all my people on Instagram right now. Shout out to all our people on Instagram right now, man. We're gonna get into things. We got a lot of topics to cover this week. But please let me know if my mic, let me check it on Facebook. Y'all might hear echo. Okay, it sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good on Facebook, so we're gonna roll with it. We're gonna roll with it. Also, we have a special guest today. We're gonna have a special guest. Coach Brett Robinson is going to join us today. So, we excited from hearing from him. I love talking to coaches. I love talking to coaches and picking their brain and getting their knowledge, man. So shout out to Coach Brett Robinson. He watched the show last week. He was impressed with the show. So we're gonna bring Coach Brett Robinson on here maybe in the next hour. So shout out to him and shout out to all the coaches. Also, shout out to Coach Maryland. Like I mentioned last week, Coach Maryland is a new offensive coordinator at Live Oak High School here in Louisiana. That's out in Watson, Louisiana. But right now, I am going live from my semi-truck from Little Rock, Arkansas, man. So shout out to all my truck drivers out there. But let's get into some of the topics that we're going to cover today. Is it time to hold Mickey Loomis accountable with the New Orleans Saints, man? Seeing some of his interviews he has done over the last couple of weeks, it's kind of concerning. I feel like Mickey Loomis may not be reading the fan base correctly. There's a lot of upset Saints fans. I was on the message board earlier, and that's all they was talking about was Mickey Loomis. Y'all forgive me, I am sweating a little bit. I have to cut my truck off. It's like, y'all, I've been dealing with single-digit temperatures for the last 3-4 days. I'm miserable. So I tried to get my truck as hot as I could so I can kill it, so y'all can hear me pretty good. So, man, y'all pray for me on that end, man. But is it time to hold Mickey Loomis accountable? Also, the Saints finally fires Pete Carmichael. Pete Carmichael had been with the Saints for over 18 years, y'all. Ever since Sean Payton has stepped in New Orleans, Pete Carmichael was the offensive coordinator. So shout out to Pete Carmichael. He had a lot of highs. He had a lot of lows. So I would say more highs than lows. Even that season that Sean Payton, when Sean Payton was suspended for Bountygate, Pete Carmichael and Drew Brees had one of the best offenses, if not the best offense in the league statistically, when Sean Payton was suspended for that year due to Bountygate. So, man, Pete Carmichael is out with the Saints. Also, Corey Raymond. Corey Raymond returns to LSU as DB coach. The legendary coach Corey Raymond, who is pretty much, I'm not going to say he's the catalyst for DBU, but he definitely had some of the best DBs under his reign play when he was at LSU, from the Tyrann Matthews to the Morris Claibornes, up into Tre'Davious Whites, the Greedy Williams, and so on and so on. We can go to the Derek Stingley Juniors, what's our boy out there that's playing? I think he was with the Tennessee Titans. I can't think of his name, but he was on that 2019 championship team alongside of Derek Stingley Jr. I can't think of his name right now. If y'all know the guy I'm talking about, let me know in the chat right now. If y'all remember who I'm talking about, I can't remember his name. Is it Christian Fulton? Christian Fulton was also alongside Darius Stingley Jr. in that championship on that LSU 2019 championship team. So man, Corey Raymond is back. That's a positive. You know, I know everybody saw where LSU was like this year, under the Ron Steeples, the DB coach that Brian Kelly did decide to part ways with, along with Matt House. So I think things are going to be a lot better. It was a lot of questionable DB play at LSU last year. Y'all know I got on here and said it all the time. Like, LSU didn't take anything away from the opposing team last year on defense. You know, I felt like our DBs played way too far off. They wasn't aggressive. And I didn't see one pass breakup. Seemed like the whole year from the LSU DBs, man. So I think Corey Raymond back at LSU, bro, that's definitely a big deal in my opinion. You know, they don't call LSU DBU for nothing, and we got to get back to that. LSU has to get back to what got them the national championships. That's great DB play. That's great defense. That's amazing athletes, and I think the athletes are being recruited at LSU. We just got to get back to the winning ways, man. Please share this live, whether you're on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, share it to somebody who may be that may have never watched the show. If you like the show, especially on Facebook, man, make sure y'all share this live on Facebook, man. We on episode 17, y'all. So I definitely appreciate y'all tuning in each and every week. To get this content, man. I definitely appreciate y'all, and I'm definitely going to be y'all. I just realized I did make a mistake. This is actually episode 18, so I'm changing that on all platforms as we speak. We are on episode 18. I do apologize. I'll change it after we finish tonight. But man, shout out to everybody that's in the live right now, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on X, man, shout out to you if you are on this live right now. And shout out to everybody that's on Instagram, man. Instagram really been holding me down, man. Leave me a DM on Instagram if y'all like the content, if y'all want to get your comment on the screen. I don't think they have that feature on Instagram yet, but we're going to get to it, man. But also, who is the greatest DB to ever play at LSU? I definitely have my opinion on that. I'll get to that later. Think about it. We had some greats. We had Patrick Peterson. We had Morris Claiborne. We had Tyrann Mathieu, all these guys. So, man, shout out to all the DBs that have played at LSU, not only under Corey Raymond, but under Ron Brooks and some of the other guys in the Les Miles era, man. But we seen Greedy Williams. We seen a lot of guys. We have seen a lot of guys come through LSU at DB, man. I'm gonna give you who I think is the greatest DB that ever came through LSU here in a minute. So it just depends on your preference. I did grow up watching Patrick Peterson. I kind of modeled my game after Patrick Peterson, but I don't know. I'm gonna give you my take on that a little later, man. But also, the Ravens, man. I know y'all seen Lamar Jackson. I know y'all seen Lamar Jackson in the Ravens as well, man. I know y'all seen Lamar in the Ravens as well, man. 34-10 over the Texans. Lamar seemed like flawless football, man. Throughout most of that game, it's like he seems unstoppable. So is the Baltimore Ravens your favorite to win the Super Bowl? The 49ers looking pretty good too. I don't know. So we're going to talk about that as well. Like I said, and once again, Lamar just looked dominant, man. He just looked so dominant. At times, he looked unstoppable, to be honest with you. It truly did. It looked unstoppable at times, man. So shout out to Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. I know the Ravens didn't really want to sign Lamar, so I think Lamar is making his statement right now, and it's paying off for him. He's definitely worth the money that they paid him, maybe even more. I mean, he was their running game. He was the quarterback. He did some amazing things. Y'all forgive me for sweating, man, but I did want to get the truck kind of hot before I cut it off because I wanted to have the best possible audio for you guys tonight. Like I said, I'm coming live from Little Rock, Arkansas right now, man, in my semi-truck. Shout out to my truck drivers out there. Shout out to my truck drivers. Also, I want to pose this question as well. Lamar Jackson or C.J. Stroud long term? Which quarterback would you rather have long term, Lamar Jackson or C.J. Stroud? That's kind of a tough call if you ask me. Some people will probably automatically go with Lamar, but I don't know, man. C.J. Stroud, he definitely showed that he was a rookie. on last night, but he still made some impressive throws. He still has gotten his team to this point, you know. So shout out to Lamar Jackson, man. Shout out to Lamar Jackson, but shout out to CJ Stroud, two black quarterbacks, you know, that's breaking the mold right now in the NFL, man. So shout out to those guys, man. Also, I know y'all seen the 49ers beat the Packers as well. The 49ers look very impressive in that game. You know, Jordan Love, y'all know I gave Jordan Love a lot of love last week, man, you know, for the performance that he had last week. So, you know, I even said something that Coach Maryland thought was ridiculous. I said that Jordan Love may be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Coach Maryland had a lot of pushback on that, you know, but you know, from what I seen him play this year, he was, you know, Jordan Love was second in touchdown passes in the NFL this season. And, you know, I truly feel like Jordan Love is coming on the scene. I'm not so sure yet. And I think last night showed that. But Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers did look good on last night, man. And also, and there's another question that I will pose is Christian McCaffrey the best running back in football? He could easily be the best running back in football, man. The way he played throughout this season, the way he has played throughout throughout his career, even with the Carolina Panthers, with Cam Newton, man, he's actually getting kind of later on in his career, and he's still balling. You know, so you definitely got to give Christian McCaffrey his flowers, man, because the dude is balling, bro. You know, he looked like one of the best running backs in football. And earlier today, we seen the Lions hold off the Bucks 31-23 in a divisional round, man. So now I'm asking, is Jared Goff poised to return to the Super Bowl? We all know what happened against Tom Brady and in that Super Bowl when Jared Goff was with the Rams. Is Jared Goff poised to return to the Super Bowl, man? I don't know. The Lions are like the Cinderella story, and I know the NFL likes the Cinderella story. So I feel like I feel like something's brewing there. You know, I feel like Jared Goff may end back in the Super Bowl, but we will get to that later. But man, we got a special guest that's joining us right now. We got Coach Brett Robinson. We're gonna bring Coach Brett Robinson him. This is our first time talking, so let's get him in here. Coach, can you hear me pretty good? Coach, can you hear me? Let's see if Coach can hear us here.
Hey, I'm having problems with my audio. Hold on 1 second.
Okay, Coach, I think it was me on my. Go ahead, Coach. I can hear you, man. How you doing, man? It's nice to meet you, brother. Let's see if we can
Can
hear
you hear me?
Coach. I can hear you pretty
Can you
good,
hear me?
Coach. I had to switch my
All
audio.
right.
Yes, sir. I can hear you, man. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Let's introduce you for the people that's watching right now, Coach. What's your background, man? Where you from, and things of that nature.
Yes, sir. 2010, 2011, I was at Denham Springs High School coaching strength and conditioning. Worked there under Coach Nettles. Worked there sort of getting my feet wet. That was where I went to high school, Denham Springs High, Go Jackets. Then 2012, I get my first staff position coaching defensive line at Shruma High School in Baton Rouge under Coach Joseph, who's over there at East Iberville. Then in there in 2016, ended up working at Walker High School, coaching the freshman front seven. Great guys over there. Coach Lawley hired me on over there, and Coach Maryland, who came in last week to talk to, where I met him at Struma and at Walker. Then in 2018, I went over to St. Michael's High School, where I coached defensive line. Met a lot of great coaches over there. Coach Harrell, who's over with me right now at Dutchtown, who's defense coordinator then, now is defense coordinator at Dutchtown. So we work together again, a little reunion. Coach Leger, who's the head coach at St. Michael's now, was the offensive line coach then, so we had a good working relationship then. And then Coach Sanchez, who was the head coach then, is now the athletic director at Walker High. Great guy, great bunch of people to work for and be with. And then in 2021, I got the defensive line coach position at Walker High School under Coach Mahaffey. Worked under him with Coach Doug Dotson as the defensive coordinator then. Worked mainly the defensive interior, so defensive tackles, nose guards, worked with them mainly. Worked with the defensive ends at the beginning of the season, or into the summer, transitioned there. And then in 2022, I ended up working with the outside linebackers at Walker High School, working with the edge rushers, on the jack side, and then as well at the Sam backer. Vernon was a cover guy out there playing like star position, sort of like hybrid safety role. So I had to learn a little more about defensive coverage and more growing in the secondary. But under that, learned under Coach Dahl, who's over there still now coaching linebackers, who's got a resume that is still crazy to hear about in high school athletics. And then this last year, the Dutchtown High School coaching defensive line with Coach Talley. Like I said, under Coach Harrell, the defensive coordinator there. Coach Mistretta, the head coach. Had a great run this year. Very excited and proud for the boys that we have. And just excited to keep watching us grow. But obviously been around football a long time and just love it. Love watching kids grow. Young men we try to produce and just try to push them to be the best they possibly can be. And I've been blessed to be under great staff, great coaches, and everywhere I've been the previous year, our win-loss record improved everywhere I've been. So that's something that I try to pride myself on, pushing us the best we can and being a great defensive assistant guy, help out team in any way, shape, or form. Just be a great role model for young men and grow a program to the best of their abilities.
Coach, what is one of the most important things that you think as a coach when you're dealing with young men, especially in Louisiana, in such a talented state? What is one of the biggest things that you implement, and what's some of the challenges of coaching talent? Because we know we all have it here in Louisiana.
Yeah, there's a ton of talent. This year at Dutchtown, we have all three of our guys on defensive line all had scholarship offers. They're just, great talent. I've been everywhere where we've had a lot of talent develop over the years. St. Michael, I mean, I've had 9 players I've directly coached that had a scholarship offer one way or another. So it's been great to watch that talent grow. Biggest challenge, I think, is just probably the feeder system. So like what you get in as a coach, obviously, if you have to grow a lot of their football IQ, their football knowledge, that takes away from them their development time. Because in the day, if they come in, you have to sort of teach them the basics of football, leverage, tackling, coverage, skill levels, like all those things you can't refine if you have to build them. So at the end of the day, it's just trying to hopefully they get that knowledge, whether it's the youth level, junior high level, prep level. I know there's a lot of flag football, 7-on-7 leagues. Just letting those kids come in if they have a lot of knowledge and they want to learn to love the game. It's a lot easier to teach it and refine their tools versus having to give them the tools in such a short notice try to refine it too. So it's a give and take. There's some areas, whether it's Louisiana or other states that maybe emphasize, football or just learning the game a lot more. Kids get involved with a lot younger. So a lot of those things are challenges depending on, where you are and let alone just the mindset of that community behind whether it's football or the sport that they involved with.
Gotcha, Coach. So what was one of the reasons that you want to get involved in coaching? What motivated you to want to get into coaching?
So actually, I was selling cars for a long period of time when I graduated college in 2012. I was my last year in college, graduated from LSU, and that's when I was at Estruma. And then I started selling cars. There was a few years where I had a gap there because I was doing that, trying to make a living. And I was like, man, I can't. My wife's a teacher. She's been a teacher for 15 years. I said, I can't get into that realm because you can't make a profit off of it. And I just don't feel like there's much money in it. But then I took myself back when I did the coaching. I said, why am I doing this? It's been a while since I played the game. The game's evolving so much. I don't know if I can keep up. But then I realized whenever I was younger, I didn't have a lot of guidance. I lived with my mother. I didn't have a lot of role models in our lives. So I remember at the end of the day, what grew me the most was the coaches around my life. So a lot of them developed me as being a good positive role model, telling me the good things, building team effort and just the strengths of the game at the end of the day. So I said, you know what? Instead of just saying that those are good things that people have, I want to be part of that. I want to be like that role model for the kids. And, now I went go get my certification. I'm a full-time teacher now the last 5 years. When I was at Denham Springs, then at Walker, and now at Dutchtown, I'm a full-size certified teacher. So I really love it. I get the chance to spin kids, be a role model, not just on the football field, but now in the classroom. So at the end of the day, I couldn't be more blessed. And I'm so glad I did it. I mean, obviously, there's not a lot of money in teaching, but I get to have that pride at the end of the day, say, man, I had a great impact on the kids. Hopefully, I get to see them grow up. This year, I get to watch my kids. I taught at Denham. They get to graduate. I'm gonna go to their graduation, watch them graduate, and get that smile on my face. Because every time I watch a graduation ceremony, it just gives me a thrill whenever I hear about them going to the National Guard or they have their career path lined up. Like I was an impact on some other people in my life at the end of the day. Because one thing that I look back on and said, you know what? We all die. We all have a way to impact this world. We can do negative. We can just sort of get by with a job selling cars, make some kind of money doing that. But what fulfills me? And I think fulfilling me is watching young kids grow, showing them the right things to do, be a good role model for them, and show them that football and the sports and things can be a great emphasis for them in their lives to grow them as young men and hopefully move their path going forward in a positive light.
Man, I think you said a mouthful. Because I give you my background. I played football at Hammond High School, under James Gilliard, who played at LSU, and I always thought that was the coolest thing. He played at LSU, so I looked up to that, and that made me want to be like him, and even today, I can kind of I'm pretty much doing the similar things that you're doing. I seen the need in our community. Me and Coach William Fleet, we train athletes here in Tangipahoa Parish, from in the Hammond area, from Hammond to Ponchatoula, all the way up to Kentwood, and that's one of my ways of giving back, because I know just me as a teenager, I didn't care about much for sports. So I feel like that's one of the only ways that we can reach them in today's time. There's so many distractions, whether it's social media, whether it's all this other stuff. It's a lot more distractions than I know that me and you had when we was coming up, right? I remember when I was in high school, social media was just starting to kind of take off. So it wasn't what it is now. So man, I think that's amazing, man. I really do think that's amazing, man. I can't remember if you want to break that news that we talked about. I won't mention it if you don't want to go into it. I can't remember if you told me or not. As you are moving forward, I don't want to say it if you're not comfortable saying it.
No, nothing too crazy to report. I just wanted to. I was telling you that I was excited about mentioning Perryville High is being built, right by my house out here in Perryville, Louisiana.
Okay.
So I just was excited to tell you about, like, it's coming along very well. I drive past it pretty frequently, just watch it sort of grow. It's sort of like interesting in my mind to watch the building grow, but you also know it's gonna be like the future of your community, right? So at the end of the day, you see the field goal post up, you see the athletic building up, you see the layout of the field. I don't think they have turf down yet. You see the building, you see like the infrastructure being built. Sort of like every day I go by there and see someone else get put together. Sort of cool, like I'm part of the building process without having to get out there and get soaking wet and get all my hands dirty. But it's just cool, I think, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, I know that in a year from now, that's going to be a lot of young men and women that go there every day. They're going to have the life circle around it, because as you know, when you graduate high school, sometimes that's the only thing you have to hold on to. Like, I'm a graduating class of blank. I remember this, remember that. Like, that's your childhood, So I think it's cool to watch that kind of building. That's not like just a business. It's literally someone's futures. Some kids' lives are going to be there for 4 or 5 years or whatever it might be, and they get to build that around their community. And it's cool just to watch it grow up, because I've never seen it sort of build, and it looks like it's going to be a beautiful campus, and a lot of great folks coming through there. The athletic director and the principal, the only 2 people that I know that are there, are pretty much on staff. And, they're building it right. It just obviously from the ground up is a little different than just like hiring a few coaches. You're hiring everybody, staff, teachers, coaches, putting it all together. Got to buy new equipment for every single sport. I mean, that's a heavy load for anybody to take care of, but it's really cool to watch it grow around you.
And that's Prairieville High School, right?
Yes, sir. The Hurricanes.
Wait, I thought Prairieville already had a high school. Was I mistaken?
No, they have not a high school. They have a middle school and a junior and an elementary.
Wow.
Yeah, it's Dutchtown. Dutchtown is where technically we live in, is our zone right now. Santa Mall takes up the sort of like towards Port Vincent, towards the Walker area. Dutchtown's more towards Geismar, Galvez area, and then you have East Ascension. It's sort of in the offsprings, but you're going towards, Gonzales with that. So that's the only 3 schools that divide up this area right now.
Okay, well, shout out to Prairieville High School, man, coming next year, right?
Yes, sir. They'll be they're on plan to be done by June, so they can start actually putting a staff together and having the buildings ready, and get a full 2024 will be their first classes coming through.
I'm excited to see that, man, because that's an area filled with talent, man. I mean, y'all gonna be pulling for athletes over there, man. Best of luck to y'all. What classification would y'all be in? Would it be 4A, 5A, or what would it be?
They'll be 5A. They have 1,200 kids. It's pretty much a projection right now, and it can increase because the option is right now kids that are at Santa Maria or Dutchtown have the option to go there if they like to next year or stay at their school right now, but they can't go back and forth. They can't flip flop. If they decide to stay at Dutchtown, but they don't make the baseball team in the spring, then hey, I can start brand new at Prairieville High and they need athletes there. So I'll jump ship and I'll go over there. So right now they have about 1,200 kids is what they're projecting, but I think it's gonna be more than that. I think it's more like 1,400 kids, depending on what happens with sports, the kids moving in, what they want to do. And then some parents and kids are just excited, like, hey, it's a brand new school. Like, I can be the first class come through there. So it's appealing for some, but also some other kids have been at Dutchtown or Santa Maria, and they want to finish there, next year or two with their friends. Like my son, he's at Dutchtown right now. He's a sophomore, and he plans to stay and be a Griffin. So,
Wait a minute. He's not gonna follow dad. I mean, what's going on with that, man? I mean, are you gonna put up with that?
I mean, at the end of the day, my wife, she wants to go to Prairieville High. More power to her at the end of the day. It's unseen what's gonna happen with me, but all I know is that my son's happy. He's moved a lot with me being a coach. I was at Walker. He went to Walker last year. The year before that, he was in middle school. He went to a brand new middle school, and my wife moved to as well. Now this year he's at Dutchtown, so he's moved. Last 3 years he's at 3 different schools. So it's sort of like, I'm okay with he wants to move, but also, you want the best for your kids. You want them to be happy, and I don't want to force that down his throat. And let alone, like I said, if he doesn't make the football team or whatever he wants to do this year, or he just, how kids are, man. They never 100% feel like, especially my son. So he might go, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go to Prairieville over the summer, and all the way up to August 7th. They're welcome to change their mind and go to Prairieville. That's their host. If that's their home school, they can just jump on board.
Best of luck, man. Best of luck to your son, and best of luck to Prairieville High School in their first year. For some reason, I just thought Prairieville had a high school. I don't know why. When you mentioned. Yeah, I said when you mentioned that, I've been to that area a lot. I'm a truck driver, man, so I've been truck driving for over 8 years now. So I've been to a lot of places in Louisiana, a lot of places in the country. Like I said, right now I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas. Right now, man, I've been in single digits for the last 4 or 5 days. I'm miserable. I am miserable right now, brother. I'm miserable,
I'm not
man.
a cold weather person, so I'm with you, man.
Me either, but man, let's get into things, man. I want to get into some topics. I laid out some topics for you, man.
Go ahead.
Right. One of the questions that I have right now, man, is it time to hold Mickey Loomis accountable? Because, man, the last, I would say, 4 years, we've missed on a lot of draft picks. Where is Peyton Turner? I don't know where Peyton Turner is. I haven't seen Peyton Turner make a play since he's been drafted to the New Orleans Saints. And Mickey Loomis is just doubling down on keeping Dennis Allen. I mean, I seen a post where some Saints fans are having a GoFundMe to get a billboard to put in New Orleans to say fire Dennis Allen, man. So is it time to hold Mickey Loomis accountable, bro? Give me your answer on that.
I mean, I'm a Saints fan, live and breathe the Saints, and I'm with you. I really think that it's time that he needs to be done. I mean, 22 years he's been the general manager for the Saints. That's a long time, man, in this league. And, usually they marry each other with the head coach. And obviously Sean Payne's not here, and they were a good mix apparently for what they had. But I just feel like he is trying to double down, like you said, on Dennis Allen. But Dennis Allen, I just feel like has not been what you need as a head coach. As a guy that coaches, I'm a high school guy. I'm not in the NFL, but it's like, when these players last game are supposed to take a knee, they're running the end zone for a touchdown. I feel like, man, if that's not a slap in the face to your head coach that's calling the play, like, I don't want to run up the score on these guys. I just want to win the game. And, like, I get where, Jameis is like, hey, I wanted to do it, give him a touchdown. That's cool. But, like, he just did in the locker room, and it wasn't like, I'm sorry for it, or like, man, that's my bad. I shouldn't have done that. Like, I should put the team first. It was just like, it is what it is. We did it, and that's what we did. And it's like, man, Dennis Allen's been the head coach, and he's like, threw them under the bus a little bit versus like, hey, you know what? we're going to take care of that internally and move on. He was just like, oh, that's not who we are. That's not, about us. And like, are you dividing yourself from your team, or are you part of the team? And
Right.
that's something that just drives me crazy at the end of the day. This is an NFL head coach, and I heard someone the other day say, some lady that worked for him at the Raiders even said the same thing, that she wasn't surprised that players did what he didn't want them to do, because that's his leadership skills. They're terrible.
Wow, I didn't hear that part. I
Yeah,
didn't
there
hear
was
that.
Yeah, there was a former executive that worked for him at the Raiders, and she said whenever she heard about the players didn't run a play he told them to run or whatever, she was just like, yeah, that's not surprising at all. He's been a terrible leader. Whenever he took over the Raiders, he called us all in, everybody was on staff, and just said, hey, we're going to do it this way, not that way. If you don't like it, there's a door. And just very negative, actually. She said that all she felt was negativity towards him and him towards the organization right out the gate. And I was like, man, that's terrible to be a leader of a program and you can't even have a positive moment, like to be excited about coming back the next day for work. Now you're telling them, like, this guy might be a problem, and this is day one.
Man, it's crazy. And what's even more strange to me is how it seems like Mickey Loomis, Dennis Allen, and Derek Carr is attached at the hip for some reason. And and I'm not so sure if you listen to some of the post game interviews of Mickey Loomis and Dennis Allen and Derek Carr, nobody's taking accountability. Like Derek Carr kind of got hot towards the end of the season, but we all seen what he did for the majority of the season. It wasn't impressive. It just wasn't impressive, and it seems like they just doubling down on this. And I don't know if they think the Saints fan base is crazy, but a lot of us play football. This is football don't get no bigger than what it is in the South,
Mm-mm.
especially in
Mm-mm.
Louisiana, especially with us
Agree.
crazy Saints and LSU fans out here. So I feel offended, man. And not even giving a thought about firing Dennis Allen. I mean, like you said, once you go back to that play with Jameis Winston, for whatever reason Jameis did it, I don't think he would have did that to Sean Payton.
No.
You know, and just getting back to the question at hand with Mickey Loomis, man. What I go back to is roster management as well. Derek Carr gets $40 million. Probably never in his career ever deserved that type of money.
No.
I said on previous shows that nothing justified giving I'm sorry, not Jameis Winston, but Derek Carr that type of money. And then you see the draft picks. What happened to Peyton Turner's a first round pick? What's the left tackle? You probably know. What is it? Trevor Penning. I mean, look at
Yeah.
Trevor Penning, man. Trevor Penning was a first round pick last year. He's not even getting in. He's not even starting. He's not
No.
even getting in on special teams. That's how bad of a first round pick that was, man. So it's just a lot of questions, man, that's going on with the Saints right now. And Mickey say 22 years, bro. 22 years is a very long time to be a GM in the NFL. Most GMs might not last. It's like a 5-year revolving window most of the time. I can't think of anybody outside of maybe Ozzie Newsome that, for the Ravens all that time that was a GM that long. And to Mickey Loomis' credit, now he has gotten it right sometime, with the Alvin Kamaras, the Michael Thomases, the Marcus Costins, all those guys that played at smaller schools, the Lance Moores. I mean, we can go on. It's not all been bad. I mean, we gotta be fair, all of it hasn't been bad, but right now it looks bad, man.
Well, like, at the end of the day, that the hope is what a fan base wants. Like, hey, you know what? We were what, 7-10 last year. Now we're 9-8. Is there hope that next year we're going to get into the playoffs and go work deeper in the playoffs? Like, we want to win the Super Bowl again. That's not a fan base, like you said, that's okay with losing a bunch of games or not getting the playoffs. Like, even if you got to the playoffs, you at least can show them that, hey, there's growth here. We're going to get there and we can grow. Now you had to win the last 2 or 3 just to have a chance, and you still didn't control your own destiny. And you had a very weak schedule. It's just there's too many things to say. And like you said, the fan base is hungry. I mean, we're a very dedicated fan base. As a Saints fan, since we were the Aints. At the end of the day, there's a lot of hungry fans down here. This is not Los Angeles or New York where there's other things to do besides, like, hey, let's go to watch a football game. No, you're going to watch a football game to watch the Saints play and win a football game to
That's
represent
right.
represent us in this area, Mississippi, Louisiana, mainly all over the Saints. So you got a big fan base that loves football, that loves talking about football and knows it, and they're raising money to get rid of your coach. I mean, at the end of the day, if that doesn't tell you that you got the wrong guy there, I mean, your fans are going to get behind them at the end of the day, and they've got to be the ones that have the hope. Your players don't have the hope if your fans are not with you. Like, if the fans see you hey, Jameis, good job on that, last play scoring a touchdown. Good job, like, thank you for putting Dennis out in his place is pretty much what they're probably telling him versus like, hey, hope y'all have a good win next year. Like, they just sort of like smatting the guy, but there's no reason to say, again, they're just hoping the future. He's not showing you he can get you there. He hasn't done it at the Raiders. He's not doing it now. And they're not giving him a contract extension to even say that we believe that you're going to do this in 3 years. They're just like, you live out your contract. Maybe you do it next year. Maybe you don't. But, you're a guy. We can't say we didn't give you a chance. But you've proven you've been an NFL coach before. You don't win. You come here, you don't win. I mean, sometimes you got to point yourself and go, man, I liked it originally. I got to bite the bullet. Let's get rid of him, put him at defensive coordinator, whatever you want to do there. But it's just not a fit right now. And the fan base I know is not happy because I'm one of them. And I can't believe that next year I'm going to be very excited about what they're going to put to the table.
That's right. But I will say this. I think the fan base was more on the side of Jameis Winston than Dennis Allen, just to be clear. And right now, if you are watching this live, we are live with Coach Brett Robinson right now. If you're on Facebook, make sure you share this video. If you're on YouTube, thank you. If you're on Twitter, now known as X, and that still is weird to me that they call it X. I can't get over that fact. And on Instagram, we are screaming on Instagram. Shout out to everybody that's on Instagram. We are with Coach Brett Robinson right now. Let's get on. Let's get on to another topic.
Sure.
Saints fired longtime offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael, man. Pete Carmichael, we just talked about with Mickey Lomas being there 22 years. Pete Carmichael was there 18. Did you know that? Pete Carmichael has been with the Saints for 18 years under Sean Payton.
2006.
And I do want to start off by giving Pete Carmichael his flowers as well. He has been part of probably a era of prolific offenses with Sean Payton. Who deserves the most credit? Probably, obviously, Sean Payton. But he did have that year with Sean Payton was suspended with Bounty Gate, and it looked pretty good. You know what I'm saying? I think Drew Brees broke a passing record that year, and it looked good. But as of late, Pete Carmichael looked outdated. I seen some. I think Nick Underhill does a great job of breaking down the Saints footage. He said that I think the Saints was dead last in the league with motions and just just a new era of offenses. And then you see guys like Sean McVay, you see guys like Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan with these very, very explosive offenses, and the Saints are just over here running 1980s type of offense football, nothing special. And then and honestly, I think Derek Carr didn't do the man any favors either, man. But Pete Carmichael is out after 18 years with the Saints, man. How do you feel about that, man? Just as a coach, and I know you never want to see another coach get fired, but we all think it was time.
Yeah, like I said, I don't ever watch a coach get fired. I don't feel like if you get to NFL level that you were a bad coach. You didn't get there because you were a bad coach and just somehow you knew somebody. Like they interviewed you, you became a position coach. You were obviously a good position coach. I showed you new offenses to become the offensive coordinator. And obviously Sean Payton had enough faith in him, and you can't say nothing bad about Sean Payton for a Saints fan. He gave us our own Super Bowl, and at the end of the day is, showing what he can do at the Broncos right now. At the end of the day, it's hard to say, but, I think sometimes, just like with GMs in a lot of positions in this NFL, it's really hard to find those guys that can be around it for a long period of time. Like Tomlin over at Steelers, I mean, he's still a super rare occasion. Belichick obviously no longer at the Patriots, but I mean, usually the game just sort of, I don't say passes you up, but sometimes you either got to learn to adapt, or sometimes you just let your ego go aside and you got to hey, I got to evolve a little bit. And I feel like Carmichael wasn't evolving with his team. He's still running the same offense Drew Brees ran. I feel like a lot of the same plays, but you don't have the same personnel. You have to adjust your offense to the personnel, just like your defense. Like I'm not gonna, be part of a defensive scheme with somebody and be like, man, that's really not our strength. Why are we running this kind of, 4-2-5 if you don't have the defensive backs to understand defense? Like just put a bunch of nose bearers out there and bring a lot of pressure and just, you can adjust your personnel to your game. And I don't feel like he was doing a very good job with that at the end. And like I said, he was going up and down, but you knew who Derek Carr was. You had all preseason to work with him. You saw what happened in the first few weeks, and you're like, this is not the guy that's going to go out there and throw 400 yards. So stop trying to make the offense fit around this guy and just use him sort of like you did with Dalton when he was here a little bit. Like, hey, just dink and dunk, keep the defense a little honest. use your run game, and hey, that's going to keep you in a lot of ball games and keep your defense on the sideline. That was doing a good job for most of the part, but throwing picks and just like 3 and outs were just, I feel like, so much this year. Just I feel like he couldn't find a way to give them a good position, be a 3rd and 1, run the ball down the middle right there, get a easy 1 yard. You don't have that right now. And he just wasn't adjusting. And unfortunately, that's part of the game that you got to learn to adjust to, because the game's going to keep adjusting every year. It's going to keep growing faster and faster, whatever it is. Right now, the big thing we've been seeing in high school is these double tight ends. That's the big new fad around. And a few years ago was a spread where they just try to get you motion and put a conflict player where the safety or the Sam linebacker, try to put them in a conflict and just sort of tear you to shreds with a spread. And the spread's still around, but the new offense is adjusting as a double Y. We call them double tight ends, whatever you want to call it. And they're just trying to just out-muscle you and out-leverage you and try to see if you're in your right gap, if you have enough men personnel. They're trying to make sure that you are, I guess, schematically sound at the end of the day and test you at your physical level, but also your schematic level versus, hey, we're just going to dink and dunk over you and put your linebacker in space and just try to make him make a play on a running back or a slot receiver. You have to adjust as a defense, even at high school level, to that, or you can't be in the same position. You're not going to be successful, because running the spread versus these teams that are trying to out leverage you and understand that they're going to bring the size of the game and personnel packages. You got to know that. And that's
Most
a high school level.
And I think you made a good point when you said, last year with Andy Dalton, things looked a little better with Andy Dalton, to be honest with you. Like you said, it was a lot of dink and dunk, move the chains, but the Saints did struggle in the red zone a little bit last year. And this year, it was just horrific. We had horrific red zone percentage on the year. I mean, I don't have that number in front of me, but I guarantee it's one of the worst in the league. And, toward the end of the season, to Derek Carr's defense, he did play a lot better. I mean, it looked better. If they could have, if Derek Carr in this offense and Pete Carmichael, if they could have clicked early in the season, maybe we're talking about something different here, But like you said, it looked old, It looked like some of the same things we did with Drew Brees. And let's be honest, Derek Carr is not Drew Brees.
No.
Not too many quarterbacks, no quarterback in the league is Drew Brees. I think Drew Brees is one of the greatest to ever play the game, So, just with that being said, man, you can't expect Derek Carr to be Drew Brees. And I felt like that's what Pete Carmichael expectations was with his offense. The running game was not there. It was no creative runs that I seen with the Saints this year. And I think as Saints fans, we were spoiled by Sean Payton. By the play calling, by the game managing, by just the overall game plan that Sean Payton brought every week, man. And we didn't see that with Pete Carmichael. It was no creativity. It was almost just Coach, at times it was hard to watch. It was just boring. Like, I would fall asleep during the Saints game. Like, it was just that boring, man. It's just like, okay, 3 and out. We might get a drive going, then we kick a field goal in the red zone, and then Derek Carr may throw an interception. And then it was just not entertaining like we used to seeing with the Saints. It just was no spark to it, But we do got, like I said, I don't want to sit here and bash Pete Carmichael, because if as Saints fans, if we want to be honest about Pete Carmichael, it was more good than bad. 18 years is a long time to be somewhere. You got to do something right? To
Right.
be with a team 18. You got to do something right. I mean, even if you just standing behind Sean Payton and just just giving him water, you know what I'm saying? You got to be doing something right. That water got to be pretty good. You know what I'm saying? There got to be some water boy type of, some Adam Sandler type of water, So shout out to Pete Carmichael, man. I don't want to sit here and beat the man up, but it just didn't look good, this season, man. It just didn't look good for whatever reason, and we can get into that. But in other news, Corey Raymond back at LSU, back at DBU, man. I have been campaigning for this probably going into even last year. Even last year, I felt like LSU DB play wasn't up to the par that LSU was used to at what we're used to in Baton Rouge at DBU. They call LSU DBU for a reason. And Corey Raymond has coached some of the best DBs that has ever came through LSU, from the Patrick Petersons to the Morris Claibornes, Tyrann Mathieu, Kristen Fulton, the Darius Stingley Juniors, the Tre'Davious Whites. He had a pretty nice run. And when Brian Kelly took this job, I was concerned, right? When I heard that he was getting rid of Corey Raymond, I was like, okay, if there's in my mind, I was like, if there's one guy that he needs to keep on staff, is Corey Raymond. That's what I thought, because I'm like, okay, he has a track record. It's not like he just put a guy out there every once in a while. I mean, we had first round DBs seem like every year in the Corey Raymond era. You know what I'm saying? So it bewildered me a little bit when he did when Brian Kelly came to LSU and kind of cleaned house, and even with Tommy Moffitt. I thought Tommy Moffitt was another guy that shit. I thought Corey Raymond and Tommy Moffitt was two guys that he had to keep because of what they have done at LSU. And man, seeing that news, it kind of gives me hope again. What we seen last year, bro, was just a travesty. I mean, if LSU had an average defense last year, right? If we had average DB play, we probably in the playoff. We didn't even have average DB play. We didn't even have average defensive football in just in its entirety, man. So what does this mean for LSU? Corey Raymond returning to LSU as DB coach. What does this mean for our LSU Tigers?
I mean, I'm an LSU alum. I'm an LSU bleed purple and gold. My dad went to LSU. My mother went to LSU. We are all Tigers, all here at this
Go
house,
Tigers.
and everything. So I definitely don't miss a game. I listen to all the recruiting, and I was actually about the same point I was going to make about you was Moffitt. I thought he was going to stay too, just because he'd been there. He'd been a staple of LSU, and at the end of the day, Corey Raymond, like you said, he has a resume that speaks for itself. Kids, might be recruited to come to LSU. Yeah, hopefully that's what happens. But at the end of the day, they want to know who the position coach is and what he's got skins on the walls. So if you want to go get that number 2, number 3 receiver or cornerback, DB in the country, you can't go to Corey Raymond and say, man, that he hasn't proven anything. Steeples had a nice resume, but he ain't no Corey Raymond. He ain't an LSU guy through and through. He hasn't showed us what he made at LSU. DBU, like you said, that was Corey Raymond's MO. So at the end of the day, I'm excited as all get out to get him back. I'm sad we had to watch him go ever, but I'm glad that he's back here. The only thing that I know about is that they hired a safeties coach apparently to help them out this year. That's from Missouri.
I seen that. Is it Peoples? Was it Peoples? I can't remember which one it was.
No, Peoples outside rushers.
Okay.
It's the Olsen guy. I believe he does special teams as well.
Okay.
So he's supposed to be a safeties coach. I don't know if that's on paper or not, but at the end of the day, Corey Raymond has shown that he's done DBs by himself, like literally safeties and cornerbacks. He knows how to teach them. He knows how to get them to communicate, and he's done a great job with it where you have them communicating well, because when he worked with the other safety coach we had a few years ago, it just didn't go so well. Sometimes you just need a secondary guy to be by himself. He just needs to let him handle those DBs, coverage skills, nickels, all that by himself. Let him just put his hands in it and say, hey, you know what, this is in your mind. If it falters, it falters, but he hasn't proven that it's going to falter, or he wouldn't have been at LSU so long. He had been as dominant as he was. Kelly let go Raymond, and I think 2 days later, Florida hired him. I mean, it wasn't like even an interview process. They probably said, hey, Corey Raymond's available. I got to get that guy. That's a no-brainer. So I'm excited for him to be back. I think it's a great fit for LSU. Like you said, our defense was definitely not the standard that LSU's used to. As a defensive guy, I feel like the lack of energy was out there. I feel like the players weren't bought in. I mean, you just saw them in the bowl game. Everybody was just saying how lethargic they sort of looked. Missed tackles. I mean,
oh my God.
If you know about missed tackles, it's something so frustrating as a coach to see. But I mean, you've got 14 games they played this year with the bowl game, and it didn't get better. That's just what blew me away more than anything else. Is that like no position was able to break down, get parallel, get their pad level right, and make a good contact. It was just bodies just throwing all over the place, and offenses were just like, hey, get the ball in space. He's going to make someone miss. He's going to either score a touchdown and get 5 yards.
That's it.
LSU making a tackle one-on-one. Why? Just throw the ball in space, make a play, because LSU's going to fall on their face, and that's what we saw constantly.
All year, man. It seemed like our safeties was on their back all year long. I mean, I don't want to call any guys out, because I did that during the season. I was just upset, and I started calling guys out on this platform. But man, our safeties was on their back all season long. And at LSU, we used to safeties like Jamal Adams, right? We used to seeing guys like LaRon Landry and Eric Reed and guys that's coming up and being enforcers. And it seemed like we didn't see that all year long, man. It was just like, I made a comment. It's like whatever you want to do against, whatever you wanted to do against this LSU defense, you could have did it. If you want the quick slant, you got it. If you want the out route, you got it. If you want to run a bubble screen over here, a tunnel screen or something like that, you got it. If you want to go deep, you got it. It was just like we didn't take anything away. And our DBs did not come up and tackle well at all. I mean, it was just like it was like open season out there. Like whatever you want to run the ball, you can run it. You want to throw the ball, you can throw it. I mean, we didn't take anything away. And at times, like, at times it was just mind blowing. Like, what is Matt House and this defense doing? But specifically with the DBs, I just didn't see any my background is playing defensive back. I was a cornerback, right? And one of the things that our DB coach stressed at Hammond High School was like, don't let them cross your face. I don't care what you do, just don't let them cross your face. Don't let them get the inside on you. Do not let them. I mean, that's DB 101. This is simple,
Leverage.
just leverage, right? I constantly seen guys let receivers get inside of them. I don't think we seen correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we seen a pass break up all season, man. I mean, I would have to go and really, really think about it. I would have to really go look this up. I mean, it was just that bad. Outside of that interception that I think, what's the guy that transferred? He came, then he transferred right back out. Who was that?
Is it Chestnut?
Chestnut, Deuce Chestnut.
Yeah.
Deuce Chestnut might have had one of the only memorable interceptions all year, and Major Burns in that Missouri game. That's like, and that's like one of the few interceptions that you can remember from an LSU DB, right? And just being what we used to seeing, it was just very hard to watch, man. Just our LSU Tigers deal with this, man. From all the talent we've seen at LSU. Now, one of the things that concerns me though, you actually made this point. I think it's Olsen that's going to coach safety. I can't think of his first name at this time, but Olsen. What concerns me is messaging, right? Because the DB position is probably the most technical position in football. Probably that quarterback and offensive line, right? It's probably the most technical positions in football. And what scares me is you got two voices in the room, right? This coach may be telling me this coach may be telling me that. And that's the only thing I worry about is the communication. And I just hope that Corey Raymond and Olsen can get on the same page, man, because playing DB, everybody has to be on the same page when you're playing DB. Because you could be in cover 3. The safety needs to know where he has the middle of the field. The cornerback needs to know where I need to squeeze this post route, and as long as nothing's coming out, so those are things that you have to be on the same page with. I mean, so that's what concerns me about this, about the safeties, however, because I'm not sure if Corey Raymond has dealt with this before. I think Corey Raymond was just a DB guy at LSU. I'm not so sure if he ever had to deal with, or you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not sure if he ever had to deal with that.
I want to say the last year that Ogeron was there, he had a safeties coach that was with him because he was just the cornerbacks coach on paper.
Was it Bill Bush? I think it was.
Yeah, Bush, safeties coach. Yep, it was Bush, and he was a special teams guy too. So I think, but I'm 100% with you. I'm a guy that I haven't coached secondary one-on-one, but I think that's just better just to have one voice because those guys have to communicate, learn each other's role. Like, hey, he's playing hard, you need to come over the top. Hey, you need to echo this versus like you said, hey, Olsen, what do you think about this? Like, I don't need nobody else's opinion. I can communicate it. I've taught it. Let me just do it. So I don't know if Olsen's coming in as a safeties coach on paper, because I know Brian Kelly, I think, has sort of hinted that he just wants the guy just to strictly work on special teams this year, because he knows that's been sort of the difference of winning some ball games the last few years, especially 2 years ago whenever, I'm trying to remember his name, that Poland, he was the special teams coordinator, and obviously LSU fans sort of got burned up with that. But I disagree with you. Corey Raymond should just run the whole ship, and at the end of the day, he doesn't need another voice in the room. Now, if Olsen and him get along well and everything's, kosher, they can communicate well and give the same message to the kids, and they, 100% agree with each other and let alone have confidence in each other, then it might work. But I just think that just sometimes you need one voice, that's my opinion of it. Sometimes you have sort of too many chiefs, not enough Indians kind of deal whenever you're the coach of a position. I mean, those are your guys to look up to you. And now they're like, hey, I'm a safeties coach, but Coach Raymond, I've always idolized you, like you're the man. Well, all right, well, that's cool, but Olsen's your coach, so, listen to him. If you have questions, ask me. And then it's sort of like, okay, is it open door, or is that my position coach, or is Raymond there to help me? Like, what is it versus just, hey, secondary, go see Coach Raymond. He'll answer any question you got, show you what you need to do on film, and focus on those things. That's just my opinion. I'd rather have one guy work with one position. That's just sort of how I like to do things, and I think that a lot of successful programs just do it like that versus sort of break up a lot of different positions and have different voices in the room. Even though they might be good voices, it's just sometimes the kids, I think, like to buy into one guy versus, hey, this guy is here to help me, but this other guy is my position coach.
Gotcha, man. Gotcha. That makes a whole lot of sense, man. So, but it is a positive. It definitely is a positive having Corey Raymond back in the building. If you're an LSU fan, and I think we one of the only fan bases that might actually know the name of our DB coach. I don't think you see that too many places. If you go ask if you ask an Alabama fan who's that DB coach, they might can't tell you, to be honest with you. But we know that here in Louisiana because we love football, we love DBU. And hopefully LSU can get back to DBU. But that kind of takes me to our next question, man. Who is the greatest DB to ever play at LSU, in your opinion? I'm going to give you the floor on this one. Who is the greatest DB to ever play at LSU?
Oh, man, that's a hard one. I had to think about it for a while. So as a guy growing up as an LSU fan, I've only seen so much football and obviously highlights from older days. But Tyrann Mathieu, man, he's still the one that stands out to me. I remember whenever LSU was playing a spring game, and he wasn't even a big name yet. I think he was either a freshman or sophomore. He had just started up. He was playing nickel. LSU runs a little wide receiver screen. I don't even know if the guy even looked at the ball. I really feel like he just sensed it in the air and just attacked through the inside shoulder of the wide receiver blocking him and tackled the guy for a 3-yard loss. And I don't know if he even knew. Like, if he was blindfolded, I think he would have made the play. And I just see, like, that's a God-given talent. Like, you can coach so much, but the guy, I feel like if the ball was in a cornfield, he'd just find a way to go out there blindfolded and grab it. I mean, he just had a great God-given talent, and especially being 5'8" on a good day, he was not like he was 6'2" and had any leverage. I mean, but the dude was just an unbelievable payoff for his size and stature and just amount of talent. Now, obviously, Patrick Peterson, like I said, Eric Reed, a lot of these other guys that come through here have shown great technique and great cornerback just skill. I think the purest corner has come through here. I mean, Stingley was very impressive as a young man.
Yeah.
I watched when I was at St. Michael's. We played Dunham. Unfortunately, we kept punting him the ball, and he scored 2 touchdowns that night, and we lost 28-0. So, but at the end of the day, I know that at the end of the day, he's a great technicianer. As a kid, I was, I think, a senior at that time or a junior. I want to say he was a senior. But, I mean, you can tell that he played in 2 ways. But when he went out there and played cornerback, he was giving you all he got. He showed you different things. He'd play hinge technique. He'd come up there and play press and all fail. He'd show you different stuff because he knew it, and he could do it well and not be out leveraged. And he knew what to do in his position and just got great athleticism. I mean, he's showing it right now. I believe the Texans, if I'm not mistaken. And balling out, So Patrick Peterson and Stingley are both up there, in my opinion, as great technicianers, pure corners. Those 2 guys, I mean, when Patrick was in his prime versus Stingley, I mean, those are 1 for 1 from my opinion. Those other guys, Eric Reed, like you said, a safety that just come out there and put it on you. He wasn't afraid to hit. Like some safeties, unfortunately, are like, hey, I'm just a corner. I'm a coverage guy first. I'll come up there and set the edge where if you need to. No, he was gonna go up there and he was gonna hit you in the mouth. And he made safeties oppose their will at that time, just like Miami did for a long period of time, where you just saw highlights of guys just getting clobbered. So I mean, if I had to put my vote on God-given talent, Tyrann Mathieu, pure just cornerback that's ever played at LSU, it's Stingley. Patrick Peterson is, my 1A, 1B.
I definitely agree with you on that. Let's go to the comments. Ross Lewis said, "Go Tigers, better perform." Raymond will make the defense better, I think. I do believe Corey Raymond will make the defense better. Shout out to Ross Lewis in the comments. For some reason, I'm not getting the comments on the screen tonight. We have some technical difficulties on that, but I will read them as they come in on Facebook. Shout out to everybody that's watching on Facebook. We also on YouTube, on X, and also on Instagram. Shout out to all my people on Instagram, man. If you're on Instagram right now, I want to get into this conversation, shoot me a DM and I'll get back with you. But if I had to pick somebody, if I had to pick one guy, DBU, I would have to agree with you. For me, I was hoping you went somewhere else, but I would have to say Tyrann Mathieu too.
Yeah.
Just what you've seen from Tyrann Mathieu as a player, just as far as instincts, man. And if you just look at it, in my opinion, and I told somebody this years ago, and they looked at me like I was crazy. I said Tyrann Mathieu is one of the best football players I've ever seen at any position. I'm talking about when you look at what he's done in college, and honestly, I thought he should have won the Heisman that year. I mean, he was doing some outstanding things at LSU in that year. I think it was the 2011 season. Was it 2011?
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
Oregon opened the season.
yeah. So it was 2011. It was a punt. And then the guy, I think, muffs the punt. I think Tyrann Mathieu actually, he called it, and Tyrann Mathieu like scripted him and picked it up and ran into the end zone. It looked so natural. It looked
Right.
like he knew it was coming. It looked like he knew he was going to do that, and he knew he was going to score before the ball even snapped. Like, I've never seen anything like Tyrann Mathieu. And I always tell people, I said, I have a Tyrann Mathieu jersey. That's one of the only LSU jerseys that I have is a Tyrann Mathieu #7 jersey. And 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 then what Tyrann Mathieu was able to do in the punt return game, right? In that SEC championship game, he should have had 2 punts for a touchdown, right? Punt returns
Right.
for a touchdown. Like, Tyrann Mathieu to me was the greatest DB at LSU, and it's not even. I'm not gonna say it's not close, but when you look at the instincts of Tyrann Mathieu, and you look at his size, man, like you said, he might be 5'9", might be. I mean, maybe not even that, And then he also translated that to the NFL, especially early on. Early on, Tyrann Mathieu was that guy, in Kansas City, and at Arizona, and even at the Saints. It looked like he's starting to run out of gas, but it's still there. The instincts never leave you. You know what I'm saying? His legs may leave him, his speed may leave him, but those instincts are still there, man. And if I had to go with another guy that a lot of people doesn't talk about, if you want to talk about like a pure corner, Patrick Peterson is the obvious choice. Darius Stingley is the obvious choice, but Tre'Davious White, man,
Yeah.
I would
Buffalo.
have to go with Tre'Davious White somewhere in there, and also Morris Claiborne. I think
Yeah.
people forget about Morris Claiborne because he didn't go to the Dallas Cowboys and become a Pro Bowler, right?
Right.
That's the only thing I will say. I think Morris Claiborne needs to get his flowers in this conversation because he was there right along with Patrick Peterson, and I mean it was no drop off. It was no drop off from when Patrick Peterson left until when Morris Claiborne took over after Patrick Peterson was drafted. So I think Tre'Davious White and Morris Claiborne needs to be in this conversation respectfully, man.
Sure.
And we all seen what Darius Stingley did. The only reason why I won't give Darius Stingley the edge over those guys is because his last year at LSU, which is his junior year, he didn't play too well, and I don't think he played much at all that year. I think he was kind of plagued by injury, and I think he had his eyes on the NFL. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but I definitely Tyrann Mathieu, man, is a generational talent, bro. I mean, that's the obvious answer. And I think if either one of us would have said anything different than Tyrann Mathieu, it would have been a disservice to the man's career. I've never seen anything like Tyrann Mathieu, bro. Never. I mean, just the plays he made. He went on like a rampage, man. Like it was like a script, like a script fumble every week. I mean, it was getting to the point you were just watching it, like, okay, what is he gonna do tonight? You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
what is he? Is it going to be an interception? Is it going to be a script sack? Is it going? I mean, he was everywhere, bro. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu definitely one of the best players. I mean, even outside of DB. I mean, the only person I would put over Tyrann Mathieu is Joe Burrow, just
Yeah.
all time, right?
Right.
That's
Heisman Trophy.
yeah. You can I mean, nobody can argue with that. I mean,
Nah.
but just an impressive career at LSU, man. And and that kind of makes me wonder what the Saints going to do with Tyrann Mathieu going forward. Because by me being the Tyrann Mathieu fan that I am, I kind of want to see him hang it up before he gets to the point to where he just looks bad. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like this year, he made plays, but he was quiet a lot. Like, like at times you forgot that Tyrann Mathieu was on the Saints at
Agree.
times this year. So being the fan that I am of Tyrann Mathieu, Tyrann, please don't take this the wrong way if this somehow gets to you. But man, I really want to see you just rather walk away with being great than being on the latter end of your career and kind of struggling to stay healthy or whatever it could be, man. But shout out to Corey Raymond, shout out to the LSU DBs, man. Let's move along to the NFL, man. Let's get along to the NFL, man. The Ravens roll over to Texas, man. Did you get a chance to watch that game at all?
Man, I'd be lying if I said I did, but I mean, I saw some awesome highlights, but I didn't watch the game. But you know, uh, Lamar Jackson apparently put it on the show once again. Just being Lamar Jackson now is just not. It's not even crazy to see what he does sometimes with that ball.
Man, I was at a truck stop and I got some time to sit down and watch that game, man. I, to me, it looked flawless. I mean, he didn't have the most passing yards. He didn't have he didn't have just a overall dominant statistical night, right? But let me read to you what he did. So Lamar Jackson was 16 of 22, 152 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. He added 11 carries, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns, right? And you know, a couple weeks ago, me and Coach Malin was talking about the MVP. What could have been that Prescott, could have been Lamar Jackson. And I said, man, Lamar's stats doesn't speak to being an MVP, but if you see the way he plays, it's like he is the Baltimore Ravens, right? Lamar Jackson is the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, everything that he does for that team is the only thing that keeps them winning and keeps them in the playoffs, man. And it was flawless, man. I mean, Lamar, whenever he wanted to run it, he ran it. Whenever he wanted to throw it, he threw it. And then, I think the reason why his numbers wasn't as great as it could have been because the running game was just there. I mean, they was running the ball at will. Whether it was Lamar, whether it was their running backs. I mean, the Ravens, man, it was definitely a strong performance by Lamar Jackson, man. I mean, it just looks dominant, and I think the Ravens may be the favorite going forward, into the conference championship because man, it just looked so good, and even from the highlights you can see that. I mean, he just balled out, right? He just balled out, and then that defense that they have, bro. The defense that the Baltimore Ravens have right now is it looks top five. I mean, I'm not so sure what it is statistically, where they rank, but it looked like everybody was where they needed to be. Those Harbaugh brothers, bro. I don't know what they do. I don't know if they dad passed it down to them or passed down the playbook or the game plan to them, but they look so well prepared on defense. And I'm not so sure why that is, but obviously great coaching. But man, it was something to see, man. I mean, I sat there and watched the majority of it, and I even went back like, before my lives. A lot of times I go and look at even if I watch the game, I go look at the highlights to kind of keep my mind fresh. And when I watched it over again, I was like, man, I'm not so sure how you can stop Lamar Jackson. I'm not so sure how you can stop that because I mean, the play calling was so superb. Like it was beautiful. Like, and usually I don't say that about many offensive coordinators, but maybe Kyle Shanahan is one of those guys. Sean McVay. I think Matt LaFleur is getting to that point now. With the Green Bay Packers, it just looked flawless. I mean, I'm not so sure how you can stop it. You can't stop him from throwing it. And then when Lamar Jackson rolls out to throw the ball, it's like, okay, he can either throw this thing or he can get 20 yards if he just keep running it. Like, what are you gonna do with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you gonna cover the tight end down the field, or are you gonna stop Lamar Jackson? And that's kind of where defenses are being kind of conflicted at right now. Like, are you gonna stop Lamar, or are you gonna let him throw 300 yards passing on you? And it's kind of like damn if you do, damn if you don't type of situation. And I'm not so sure we've seen that in the NFL, man.
It's rare to see in the NFL because in the day, a lot of running quarterbacks don't last a long time. They get beat up. RG3, just the prime one I think of is at the end of the day, you try to run an offensive system like that and say, hey, go out, take off with your legs. But hey, you got a linebacker that is a lot faster than they were in college, a lot more skillful, and he's going to, deplete you. And are you going to be able to get up from that? Or are you going to, go hop on the sideline for 20 minutes and try to get your composure back? You got to be a tough guy. And like you said, with Lamar, they built that offense completely around him. So, the good thing is he's healthy and he's good. But if he goes out, I don't know that offense can sustain without him because it's built strictly on what you said to keep a team off balance. Because of a defense, if you're trying to game plan for a guy like that, you have to account for the quarterback as a runner and a passer. He's not just a guy that's going to run up there and just be wildcat on you and just run right down the center and just try to keep you off balance. So at the end of the day, you want to play zone against a quarterback that can run so you can keep your eyes in the backfield so if he takes off, you can come up there and play him. But then what does that lead for you as a defense? Now the other team's going to know, hey, they're going to be in zone 90% of the time because now you can just pick them apart. Now you're going to know where the soft zones are and just play zone defense. If you play man, now you got a linebacker trying to cover Lamar Jackson in space. That's not usually a good match. If you put a safety up there, now you're taking a safety out of your coverage. And, I mean, you as a defensive coordinator, it's got to be a nightmare then they try to cover that guy. And he's not a guy that's just easily sacked either. He's really good with his feet, buying time, rolling and throwing. A lot of quarterbacks, unfortunately, roll one way and only can throw one way. Sometimes they can't roll off their undominant hand and throw a good ball. They have to stop, set, and throw still versus, hey, Lamar Jackson, I've seen him roll left and roll right and still throw a really strong ball and, or like you said, just take off and run, and he's smart with the football too. A lot of quarterbacks will just, I'm gonna throw it right down the sideline. It's either his guy or nobody's. And Lamar Jackson says, instead of doing that and just keep taking momentum, I'm gonna stop right there by the sideline, wait for a play to develop, a player to come back, and throw it open. I don't need to get 40-yard bombs though. Like you said, a stat line. I think you said 14 completions, 150 yards, and that amazing. That's 10 yards a catch or completion. But he's gonna rip you to shreds by a little dink and dunk, and his offense is gonna keep them on their defense on the sideline, let them rust, adjust. So when they come out there, they're just as dominant as they were the first quarter versus, hey, we're going to try to go with big plays. No, you don't want to do that as an offense. That's what Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh, I think, are really good at is like, hey, our offenses are not meant to be explosive, score, 50 points a game off of strictly throwing the ball down the field. We're going to dink and dunk. We're going to go get those tough yards, show you we can play rough-nosed downhill football like they did in Washington and with Michigan, or whether you're talking about the Ravens. They're going to go downhill, run at you, and they're going to put you in a hard position where now you got to say, hey, now you can add Lamar Jackson to the rush or to the running attack. And now that running back is no longer running back, he's a fullback leading for Lamar Jackson. That's a hard guy to account for in an 11-man box, 9-man box, no matter. Now you got the quarterback with a lead rusher in the backfield with him, and sometimes a zone read, sometimes they give him a triple option. They give him, it's just a plethora that you have to defend as a defense. So that's what makes him so hard to defend. And he's grown so much in it that it's become the team, like you said. It's their offense built around his skill set, and it's perfect for him.
It's perfect, man. Like I said, I was just watching it, and I was thoroughly impressed with the way they was calling plays for Lamar Jackson. I seen a naked bootleg. I haven't seen a naked bootleg in years. I'm talking about from the days where everybody was running power I in high school and all that type of stuff. And I haven't seen that. It was inspiring. It's like, wow, they ran a naked bootleg with Lamar Jackson, and they had a guard pull. They had a guard pull and led them. I'm like, man, this is brilliant. And it just looked, man, like I said, it's so much to defend. They make you defend the whole field. You have to, and then he'll do a quarterback power where, it's pretty much just 10 on, just everybody's out in space blocking for Lamar. It was something special, man. And I'm not so sure who can stop that offense, man. And and the guy that he went up against is no slouch. CJ Stroud to me looks like one of the best quarterbacks in football. I've been high on CJ Stroud all year. I thought CJ Stroud should have been in the MVP conversation, and that kind of goes to our next conversation right now. Now, obviously, Lamar Jackson right now is the more experienced quarterback. He's the more battle-tested quarterback. No doubt the most explosive, the more explosive quarterback out of the two. But long term, if you were to start a franchise today, who would you pick? Lamar Jackson or CJ Stroud, and why?
Man, it's hard, like you said, because in the day, Lamar Jackson's proven it. He shows you he can do it. He's been a leader. He's been in the playoffs. He's done so many things. It's sort of hard not to root against the guy, say that he can't do it again, build that franchise. But you do know that CJ Stroud is a rookie. He's young. He's thirsty. He's obviously learned a lot about the game because no rookies do what he does at the end of the day, especially, for a franchise that wasn't picked to do very well. It's not like they have offensive targets and weapons everywhere. There's not many guys of on the Texans offense. So he's doing it with not a ton of weapons. So he's showing you that he's learning the game. He's evolving. He's getting better every week because defenses grow just as much as you do. They're going, hey, he does this well. Let's take that away. Well, when they took it away, he did this better because, I mean, he's scoring, a lot of points. I was looking up the Bucks. Their defense this year gave up nobody got over 30 on them except for the Texans got 39 on them. And I mean, that's a rookie quarterback. You're thinking, oh man, the defensive coordinator loves it. Just blitz the rookie quarterback. He's gonna make stupid decisions. No, he's making excellent decisions with the football. Whether it's throwing it, running it, checking it down, not making rookie mistakes, trying to force the ball. Like, he is a smart guy that's learning the game and he's growing fast. So if you had a franchise like, hey, I'm gonna give this guy a long-term deal. I say Patrick Mahomes 10-year deal, but like a 6-year deal. Man, it'd be hard to say that. I can't say put C.J. Stroud, give him a chance and say, hey, you're a younger guy. I see you're growing. You're getting thirsty. I feel like you're hungry for it. And this team can build around you, give you some more weapons. And, I think the head coach they got for the Texans has got a strong point. So, I would give it to him just because of the youth. And, Lamar Jackson's been there, but they haven't won the Super Bowl yet. So, I feel like every year he gets there, and then there's that one game where he's just not himself. He's just throwing balls sort of not accurately, but at the end of the day, he's not doing what he's trying to be out of his comfort zone. Because if you get the Ravens down, let's say a touchdown, 2 touchdowns, 2 minutes to go, that offense is one-dimensional because he can't just run all over the field because he knows he's thinking, I got to be a pocket passer now. I can't be in my element. And that's unfortunately because you make that quarterback uncomfortable mentally. And that's part of the game. That's the biggest part of the game everybody can tell you about football. It's not physical, but mentally. But mentally, that's where he struggles at sometimes. And I hope he can break through it this year. And like you said, they can win it if he can do that, where he can be like, I'm going to do me. I'm going to be the offense that's built around me, and I'm not going to change.
That's right. I would say this based off of what I seen last night. I think Lamar Jackson and the Ravens are the favorite to win it all. But if I had to pick a guy long term, I think C.J. Stroud is the obvious answer long term because of how he's coming into the league. But we got to be careful because we only seen 1 year of what C.J. Stroud can do. Now we seen what he did at Ohio State against Georgia in that championship game. But if we now long term, yes, C.J. Stroud is the answer for me long term. However, if I wanted a guy to win the Super Bowl now, I think I'm gonna take Lamar Jackson because, like I said, that just goes back to like what we were saying earlier about how it's so hard to defend what he's doing right now. It's so hard to defend what he's doing, man, because I mean, pretty much you got to pick your poison. I mean, do you want to stop him from getting 100 yards rushing, or do you want to stop him from getting 300 yards passing? Because I mean, he's improving as a passer. Lamar Jackson is improving as a passer. One of the things that I criticized Lamar on early in his career was can he efficiently throw the ball down the field? Can he efficiently make the reads? And this year, man, it looks good. I mean, the stats are not going to blow you away, but he doesn't lose the game for them, right?
Hmm.
So, I think C.J. Stroud is obviously the better thrower of the football, right? C.J. Stroud is the better thrower of the football, but Lamar is the more explosive. He's gonna get you that ESPN top 10 play. But C.J. Stroud, his ball placement, man, and even in this game, let's read C.J. Stroud's stats in this game. He wasn't bad, but you could definitely tell he was a rookie, right? So C.J. Stroud was 19 of 33, 175 yards. Not impressive, but it did look good, though. I mean, at times it did look good. And on the season, he had 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He was tied for 13th in the lead in touchdowns as a rookie. And at times it even looked better than that, right? I during the season, I'm like, this dude is going to throw for about 30, 40 touchdown passes. That's what it looked like. So, if I had to start a franchise today, I would pick C.J. Stroud just because he is a rookie. But the only pushback that I would give is this is only 1 year. We seen what happened with RG3. RG3 got out to that fast rookie season. And, it was injury that kind of did hamper RG3. But, we also seen it with Carson Wentz, right? We all remember Carson Wentz. He got out to that fire rookie season. They actually won the Super Bowl that year with Nick Foles, right? But,
Right.
you know, everybody remembers that season that Carson Wentz got out to. And we thought Carson Wentz was the next greatest quarterback, right? But, I
Right.
mean, I don't even think Carson Wentz is on the NFL roster right now.
Ooh.
I
How you
don't
test
think
it?
so.
Yeah, I can believe it. I'm 100% on that.
You know, so that's the thing. So that's a touch, you know. So, you know, let me know what y'all think in the comments right now. Right now, I'm not getting the comments on the live screen right now, man. But shout out to you if you are watching. Shout out to everybody that's on Facebook right now watching. Shout out to everybody that's on YouTube. Shout out to everybody that's on X. Shout out to everybody that's on Instagram, man. We're gonna try to get out here kind of quick tonight, Coach. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and cover some of the topics.
Sure.
The 49ers rallied late to defeat the Packers 24-21. Did you get a chance to watch that one at all?
I did. I watched most of that game. That was a great game to watch, man.
It truly was. It was great defense being played. Great quarterback play for the most part. I even went on live last week. I'm on record saying that Jordan Love looks like a top 5 quarterback. Now, is he a top 5 quarterback right now? Maybe not, because you know Joe Burrow was hurt this year. Patrick Mahomes was kind of down this year, but Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes right now. The Chiefs are leading the Bills 27-24 with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That's what I'm trying to get out of here, because I want to see how this game is going
I
to
got
end
you.
here. It's going to end here, but you know, it was just great. It was just great offense, great play callers, man. I really enjoyed this game because I feel like Matt LaFleur and Kyle Shanahan is one of the greatest play callers in the NFL right now. Brock Purdy was 23 of 39, 250, a touchdown. Jordan Love now where things broke down for Jordan Love was with the 2 interceptions. He was 21 of 34, 194, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So those interceptions did cost Jordan Love in the end. But this Jordan Love is pretty much a rookie quarterback too, right? You know, he
Hmm.
sat a couple years behind Aaron Rodgers, but this is his first year starting in the NFL. So Jordan Love has a bright future, man. But my biggest takeaway from this game is just how well coached both of these teams was in this game, man. It was just good football, right? It was just good football. So what was your biggest takeaway from this game, Coach?
Like you said, both very well coached teams. They weren't self-inflicted wounds in each other. They weren't just blatant penalties everywhere. It's just bad execution. It was very well executed teams. You know, defensively, offensively. You know, a lot of saw um, the Packers run a lot of gap scheme, offensively run the ball, and that's what gave the 49ers fits for a while there. And then the 49ers finally said, you know what, we're gonna beat up the box a little bit. So that's what happened, and opened up a little bit for the Packers to throw the ball, and that's when they scored their touchdown to get them it was a 21-17 lead or 21-14 lead, 21-14 lead in that game. It was just like I said, back and forth, heavyweights going at it. Whenever Love got the ball back with a minute, I think 9 seconds to go, I was like, man, Packers about to break the 49ers' heart. It's in 49ers Stadium right there, you know.
Yeah,
You know, if you didn't throw that pick, obviously, you know, just that was a rookie mistake, rookie throw across your body, off your back foot when you didn't need it. I think it was 3rd down and 2nd down. It wasn't like 4th down, you had to throw the ball up. And you still had plenty of time. You had 2 timeouts. I mean, if it wasn't for that could have been one of the greatest games where they either kick a field goal, go to overtime. You see even more great football. You know, they get a touchdown, they win the game. You know, I would love to see that play just like let it go down to the wire. To zeros on the clock, last play, what's going to happen? But it was great schematically. They knew each other well. Defensively prepared. It wasn't just a blowout like we've been seeing a lot of these postseason games. They were just both well prepared, and like I said, both of them are sort of like rookie quarterbacks, but both of them prepared well, played well. Purdy seemed very calm that last drive. I mean, I think they said they're 0-30 whenever they're down by 5 points going into the fourth quarter for Mike Shanahan or Kyle Shanahan, and you know, find a way to come back and get the lead with a minute to go. I wish they'd McCaffrey would have fell down the 1 yard line if they really wanted to secure that win a little bit more, maybe about some more clock off.
right.
But you know, scored, and then hey, you put it on your defense's hands, and that's what happens. But you know, like you said, a great game. I'm excited for both their futures. Both those teams are going to have great quarterback play, I think. Just grow a little more defensively, I think, are in good hands. I mean, got playmakers everywhere. So, I mean, I think that's going to continue to be a great game to watch, you know, in the next few years. Those quarterbacks there in NFC, you know, just battling it out.
Most definitely, man. And I was saying the same thing. Once Christian McCaffrey, he had like a minute left on the clock in the fourth quarter. I was like, man, that was a little too quick because Jordan Love had played really well up until that point outside of those interceptions. And it seemed like the Packers had control of that game for the majority of that game. And that's what, that's kind of why I named the title what I named it. The 49ers rather late because I mean they kind of came on late. The Packers got out to a nice little lead, a nice little start. Jordan Love was playing well, but that's when you seen the experience of Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers. The 49ers had been here before. The 49ers the last 3 years has been close and even closer and closer. I know in that Super Bowl against who was that? Was it the Chiefs? Yeah, it was the Chiefs. It was Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs that they lost to. That the 49ers lost to in that Super Bowl, but ever since then they've been in the mix every year. You know what I'm saying? So it was a great game, man. It was a great game, but I was thinking the same thing. Like Jordan Love was about to get this ball and go down, and the Packers gonna be in the NFC Championship. That's what I thought was gonna happen, man. It was just a good game, man. So with that being said, are the 49ers the favorite to win it all, man? It's starting to look that way. I'm high on Lamar Jackson right now. I must say, I think Lamar Jackson, the way Lamar Jackson played last night, in my opinion, I would give it to the Ravens because the Ravens defense look great. Lamar Jackson looks unstoppable. What you think? Are the 49ers the favorite to win it all?
Like you said, at the end of the day, I feel like the Ravens, have the advantage there. Lamar Jackson's been sort of trying to get this monkey off his back, saying, man, I can get to the playoffs. I'm a dominant quarterback. We can win a lot of games with me. But, people are going to still wonder, well, why ain't got a Super Bowl yet? So the pressure's on him, but he also knows that he's grown. He's been there. He's done that. He's been in the playoffs. He's been in tight games. He's led game-winning drives. Like I said, Purdy, he's still pretty much a rookie quarterback. I think it's the second year in the league. And he hasn't shown that, hey, I'm out here. I can show you, hey, I got a minute on the clock. I'm gonna go down the field and score. Lamar Jackson, you feel like, oh man, this dude's gonna make a play. He's a playmaker.
Yeah.
He's gonna find a way. He's gonna methodically just ride down the field. He's gonna be cool as a cucumber and just go down there and score. So I mean, quarterback, you got to give that advantage to the Baltimore Ravens with that. Both of them defensively are pretty good, but I think they're, like you said, the Ravens are gonna play ball security, run the clock on you, and their defense will be rested on the sideline, come out there and dominate, and then get your offense the ball back, and then just methodically go down the field. And that's what sort of demoralizes a team. And I think that's what the Ravens have the advantage. So the 49ers, I give them a close nod, but I mean, not a nod, they're close in the conversation, but I have to give my nod to the Ravens.
Me too, because I'm gonna tell you, I don't trust Brock Purdy. You know, and I do understand the type of year that he has had this year, but it's like in some moments I've seen Brock Purdy turn the ball over in critical moments this season. So I'm still kind of out on Brock Purdy. I'm not so sure that I trust Brock Purdy over. I think it's more of Kyle Shanahan's offense than what it, because Jimmy Garoppolo looked pretty good in Kyle Shanahan's offense. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just not so sure how much I trust Brock Purdy. So that's why I would give the Ravens the favorite. So next question, man. Is Christian McCaffrey the best running back in football, man? Because I've been paying attention to his career when he was with Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers, and then now, man, it just looks like he could do everything. He's like that back that you could throw out there at receiver. He can run in between the tackles, outside counter, whatever you want to do, he could do it, man. And I can't think of too many running backs, maybe outside of Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, that can even be in the same category right now with Christian McCaffrey. So is Christian McCaffrey the best running back in football right now?
If you want to put it as a running back, I wouldn't say that he's up there. Him. I think Derrick Henry is like a prototypical running back. Like that's running back all over his name. He's gonna get you the ball on a 4th down and 1. He's gonna fight for everyone. He's a big guy. He's gonna get you. He's a hard nosed runner, downhill runner. I love guys like that. It's a hard guy to defend and just say, hey, Will, linebacker in the box with me. I'm gonna take you to lunch. But Christian McCaffrey is probably the best athlete we might have out there. You have Taysom Hill. As you're a Saints fan, about him. He's a Swiss Army knife. Christian McCaffrey, I think, can do just about as much as Taysom Hill does for them. He can go out there and be a slot receiver. He's done it. He's been not secondly a tight end, but he can be like a sort of off back, sniffer, whatever you want to call it, wing back, and just go out there and block for you real quick, and then he'll come up there and set the edge for you as a blocker. And then, like you said, he'll get the ball in space. He's a pretty hard guy to stop, and he's done it for such a long time. It's sort of like you didn't need a 1 or 2 years just to say, hey, he's done it. He's done it for a while. Like I said, Panthers, he's done it. When he was at Stanford, he did it. I mean, they show highlights of him. I think I saw him as a junior or in junior high or pee wee preps. I
Yeah,
mean, the
yeah,
dude
yeah,
was. I mean, he's been insane for such a long time. He makes people miss. He's just like a God given talent, like Tyrann Matthew. He just knows how to put himself in the best position to out leverage you to make a play. He's gonna probably win 9 times out of 10 against even some of the best. So best athlete overall running back, I give it to Christian. Best just pure running back, I'm gonna stay with Derrick Henry as just pure running back. That's just me. He's a big guy,
yeah.
edge downhill runner. I mean, the Titans without him, I think it would be pretty. I don't know if they would have won a game this year. I mean, they literally can run the ball at him and say, it's going to be down 4th down and 1, 8 guys in the box, and Derrick Henry's going to say, I'm out muscle you. Y'all 2 guys are not going to get me down for a loss. I'm going to go up there. I'm going to get this yard. You can fight me tooth and nail. I like a down nose, just bleeding running back. That's a big battering ram.
I'm with you on that. I would say Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey like 1A, 1B. It just depends on what situation. I would go with the other. You know what I'm saying? And we can't leave Jonathan Taylor out either, man. Jonathan Taylor has been kind of injured in Nick, but I think Jonathan Taylor deserves to be in this own conversation. And I would put Alvin Kamara in there had he still had the same type of play calling and things he had with Sean Payton to create matchup problems. I think Alvin Kamara would have been in this conversation had he still had the benefit of a great offensive coordinator, man. But let's move on to the Lions. The Lions and the Bucks game, man. The Lions hold off the Bucks 21-23 today. Did you get a chance to watch that at all?
Yeah, I watched that one. I'm actually pulling for the Lions right now. I've actually been watching, enjoying them. I love their head coach. I love it reminds me of like New Orleans whenever we won the Super Bowl in '09. Like
Yes.
we were just so hyped, ready to get that Super Bowl, finally get that monkey off our back. And I feel like the Lions are finally riding that in too right now. Like their city's built in, bought in, their team's built in, bought in. They're ready to go. They're trying to get this in. They look good in those blue uniforms, and at the end of the day, Baker Mayfield has been dominant for a pretty good bit, this season, showing them that he's making some strides. And they were getting to him, and they were definitely putting pressure on him and making them feel uncomfortable. And that's what I like to see as a defensive guy. Like, hey, I'm not gonna let this quarterback just sit back there and just tear me to pieces. I'm gonna go out there and put pressure on him. I'm gonna show him different stuff, disguise him, and show him that, hey, you're not just gonna pick me apart. I'm gonna put the pressure on your lap, and you got to beat me.
And that's what they did. But but Baker actually played pretty well, man. Baker played pretty well, and I, I really think Baker Mayfield is the comeback player of the year, man. I've been very critical of Baker Mayfield. I thought he was a little too cocky when he first came into the NFL, but you gotta give credit where credit is due, man. I mean, the guy, he was 26 to 41, 349 yards, 3 touchdowns. Those 2 interceptions was costly, especially that pick six that he threw. But it was a good season for the Bucks. I think they benefited from being in one of the worst divisions in football. But nonetheless, they did hold their own in the playoffs. It's not like they just got dog walked or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was a pretty good season from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Subjectively, as a Saints fan, we're not gonna give them too much credit on this platform. But they definitely did what they had to do, man. But I go to your point with the Lions. That's a good comparison. Was that 2009 Saints team? They have that Cinderella story. Our story is kind of it's kind of a couple years after Katrina. The city was starting to come back, and Detroit is kind of. If you ever been in Detroit, man, it's not. I mean, it's to put it kindly, it's not a very good looking place. You know what I'm saying? Just a lot of
Depressing.
poverty. Yeah, it's depressing, man. So shout out to the Detroit Lions, man. They definitely like a team that could be in the mix. I just think I would not be surprised if they won the NFC. I just would not be surprised, but because of the grit. I mean, that's kind of like they word this year is the grit of their head coaching. And Dan, it's just everything that he stands for as a head coach. Is it Dan Campbell? Did I say that?
Yeah,
Is it?
Dan
Yeah,
Campbell.
yeah,
Yeah.
Dan Campbell. So it's just everything that he stands for. He's that guy that you want to play for. He's that guy that you want to play for. But Jared Goff, man, uh, Jared Goff poised to return to the Super Bowl is the question. And I kind of lead into that. This is gonna be our last question for the night, and we're gonna get out of here, man.
Cool.
Let's look what Jared Goff did on the season. Jared Goff is fourth in the NFL, 30 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, second in yards, which is 4,500 yards on the season. One of the controversies was when Jared Goff took the Rams to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, they lost to the greatest quarterback all time, Tom Brady, and New England Patriots, 13-3. which is probably one of the most boring Super Bowls you ever watch in your life. But even at the time when they traded for Matthew Stafford, the Rams, I understood it, but I'm like, man, y'all got a young quarterback that can play. I mean, it's not like he got you to the Super Bowl. You know, it's not like he was Trent Dilfer on that Baltimore Ravens team that had the greatest defense ever. You know,
Right.
it was a legit. You know, he legitimately got him to the Super Bowl. So, you know, I'm rooting for this dude, bro. Like, you know, I feel like it was unjust, and for him to rally and to still play great football and have his team in position at least to get to the Super Bowl, man. Like, do you think the Lions have and Jared Goff? Do you think they have a legit chance of making the Super Bowl?
Yeah, like you said, at the end of the day, golf, he had a mental hurdle to jump, right? Because like you said, he got traded, and he's like, man, is there something I did wrong? My 35 years, like, what did I do? And then he gets traded, so he's got to be like, look at himself in the mirror, like, do I need to change who I am, or am I just doing right, and I just didn't fit what the head coach, whatever the reason that I got cut? I need to reinvent myself. Is it an opportunity to grow, or is it an opportunity to just get my paycheck and just say maybe it's not meant for me? But he looked in the mirror and said, "Hey, I can build around this." And like they built around him, they given him weapons, you know, that he needs, and he's playing pretty strong football at the end of the day. And you know, he, like you said with Detroit, you got to win that city. I feel like it's a big, like Philadelphia. There's a few cities you got to win the fan base, and then they will back you, and that'll get the team to build around you. Just like New Orleans, sort of the same thing, like a small market, I guess to say, not like New York or Los Angeles. Maybe that's what he needed to do, is be in a small market like Detroit to flourish versus Los Angeles. Hey, you got to compete with the Chargers now. And I've been to LA. I've lived out there. Most people go there for a football game because they're trying to impress a client or a business meeting. They ain't going out there to watch and be in love with that NFL team. That's a business meeting. So hey, Detroit, you're going there because you're a fan. You love Detroit. You love the Lions. You're out there supporting you there whenever they were the 0-16 team a few years ago. And I remember that Rams Super Bowl, like you said, when they lost to Tom Brady. That was the year Saints should have been in the Super Bowl because they got that no
Yes,
call, and
yes,
that was,
yes.
also hurt you as a
Let's
Saints
not
fan
let's
even
not even
more.
go there. I'm having a pretty good day. I'm not even gonna go there.
I
Yeah.
know I don't want to hurt our feelings about that, but I feel like it's a great fit for him. Obviously, he's shown it, not just because he's winning games now, but I feel like that team has no doubts that hey, if we're down 4 points, minute to go, we don't have a guy back there we can't lean on and say, I feel like he can do it. He's done it. He's been around the league a long time. He's shown he can get you to the Super Bowl. Southern Day, it's all on him now with his new team, and I feel like they bought in, and he's bought in with them, and they can ride us all the way there to the end. I don't know if they'd win a Super Bowl, but I feel like they could win the NFC, and like I said, I wouldn't be shocked, and it'd be sort of, I think, interesting to see. I think that they're a team to cheer for right now.
I'm gonna go ahead and go with it, man. I'm gonna say Lions and Ravens in the Super Bowl. That's my pick right now. Lions, because I think the Lions are gonna surprise the 49ers. I truly do. They this year the 49ers are beatable. Like I say I don't trust Brock Purdy. I just don't. Not to say that he's not a great player, but he got to show me one more year of this, right? He got to show me one more year of this type of quarterback play. I want to see if it's him being a great quarterback or is it the system. But look, Coach, man, look, I appreciate you, man, joining the platform. To give everybody the backstory, Coach Brett Robinson reached out to me, man. He, liked some of the things that I was doing on the platform, man. So I do appreciate you coming on, Coach. And you always welcome on the platform, man. Usually me and Coach Maryland is in here boxing and giving our opinions on things, man. So I definitely appreciate you joining us, man. I'm gonna give you last words, man. Just kind of give everybody, how did you like being on the show, and some of the things you've seen on the show, or and going forward as a coach. Just anything that you want to say right now, we'll give you the floor, man. I appreciate you for joining us, man.
Absolutely. Coach Maryland, like I said, we worked at Estruma together and at Walker in 2016 under Coach Lawley. Great guy. I saw a podcast last week with him, and I've watched the previous ones. He's got a bright future ahead of him, obviously, at Live Oak. I'm happy for him to get that job and continue building his career. And, they got a great community out there at Live Oak, and I feel like they can flourish with him and the head coach that he's worked with at St. Thomas Aquinas. They're going to work together. I think they're going to lead a good, Live Oak team. That's a good community out there. I'm just excited about the future I have in my career. It's 10 years been in football, and I'm hoping for another, 10, 20 years on the line to hopefully be a defense coordinator somewhere, hopefully in 5A football in Louisiana, work my way up. But I love the game, love learning it, being around young men, being around other coaches. I get to pick their ears off at coaching clinics and just, going out having wings and a beer somewhere and talking football. I mean, I can't get enough of it. So it was great to come on the platform and just have someone to talk to about it, get people's feedback, whether it's good or bad. At the end of the day, it's football. At the end of the day, I love talking about it. Um, it's a game that's always evolving. So, in 5 years, I can come on and talk to you, and there's be some new other offense that we're trying to defend, or some new schematic system that someone's brought in that's evolved the game. Like every few years, the game evolves, and I love watching it. So, hope you come on and just continue to, you know, get my feedback, but at the end of the day, to share the message that we want to educate young men, be good role models for them, and let the game of football continue to grow for the future in Louisiana, and to keep escalating and provide opportunities for these young men to get education outside of this, and hopefully be great young and older men in our in our lives and our communities.
Most definitely, Coach, man. Look, we appreciate you joining us, man. You're welcome anytime, man. I'm gonna go ahead and get some closing remarks because I see that the Bills went down and missed the field goal, so it looks like the Chiefs are going to hold on to win. That's what it looks like as of right now. They're up 27-24 with 1 minute left in the fourth quarter, man. But shout out to you, Coach. Appreciate you joining us, man. I'm gonna go ahead and close things out, man. Like I said, you're welcome on anytime, Coach. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Same to you. Man, I appreciate y'all joining us for actually episode 18. I do have it listed incorrectly. We are on episode 18, man. I appreciate everybody for supporting on Facebook, YouTube, and on X, and on Instagram, man. Y'all have a great rest of y'all week, man. Tomorrow is Monday. Monday is a work day. Get to it. Do what you got to do to provide for you and your family. Make yourself better each and every day, man. I do appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all go subscribe on YouTube. That's NOTL Mon on YouTube as well. If you want to support the podcast, the Cash App is at the bottom of the screen right now. But I thank everybody for tuning in, man. We're going to go ahead and cut it early tonight. But thank y'all for tuning in to North of the Lake. This is episode 18. Thank you. Your boy, Money Mon, signing out, baby.